Hey, well, it's Huck, and I have not made a video here in a couple of weeks, so I am really sorry about that. After the investment, in a webcam and a microphone, I'm still just not doing my part. Well, at any rate, a lot has been going on, and one of the problems that I've had through all of this is that I very much would love to take part in some of the support in the Black Lives Matter protests. And unfortunately, because of my health, I can't. I give a lot of credit to all these folks that are out there marching and taking part. They have been very successful. It seems at least once or twice a year, there'll be an incident that that at least initiates some type of broad support, or at least some type of regional response. And for whatever reason, it was the death of George Floyd that finally seemed to finally seemed to break through. And it has. Make no mistake about it. Support for Black Lives Matters rarely got much over 50% support in the past. And it has swelled to something like 74% approval as we speak. And I can't help but believe that a good portion of that has to do with the with Trumpism, I guess in short, with the fact that under Donald Trump, those who have been opposed to Black Lives Matter and their cause have been exposed for who they truly are, and it goes so much beyond just policing. I have, had the I've had the opportunity to read a number of really well written and well thought out articles on on what it is to live today through the eyes of a black man or woman. And like I say, this is it goes well beyond how they are treated by various law enforcement. It extends to how they're treated in the emergency room, how they're treated at the bank, how they're treated when they apply for a job, when they apply for well, you get the idea. And it's, I'm not going to repeat all of that now, but suffice it to say that that I think finally, at long last, we may actually see some substantial change. And I've learned a few things that I somehow had, escaped my radar. I learned that, dismantling your police department, as Minneapolis now has vowed to do, at least 9 of their 9 of their 12-member council has vowed to do this, which is a veto-proof majority, is, has actually been done before and done quite successfully. I wasn't aware of this. I wasn't aware of, what had been done in Compton, New Jersey, and how they completely did away with their police department, and it was actually inspired, as I understand it, in part by their new chief of police, who I don't know if he recommended it exactly, but he went along with it, and it, among other things, required every officer to have to reapply and be reevaluated, to be readmitted to the force. But it involved a lot of structural changes, and in essence, what they were able to accomplish was creating a police force that was able to win the trust of the people that they are under oath to serve and protect, rather than a police force that majority of the citizens feared. And the result was that they were able to, make remarkable headway in a number of unsolved crimes, among other things. They actually got a lot more cooperation. Officers were, rather than, people that didn't live in the neighborhood and didn't, know these people that were strangers, if you will, instead got down to ground level where they patrolled on foot, in some cases on bicycle, and got to know and actually befriend, the residents that they were serving. And so, there's a lot of misinformation, as you're going to find. My experience here of late suggests to me that whatever your cause is, whether you're for free and fair elections, and an end to systemic voter suppression, as we just got a we got a master class in voter suppression here the other day in Georgia. But whether your cause is sensible gun regulation, or in this case, excessive force used by law enforcement, whatever your cause, you're going to find that the people that want things to remain the way they are, that are resistant to change, largely Republicans, largely conservatives, will not fight fair, and they will use a hell of a lot of misinformation to try to obnoxiously blunt your message. And, I spend way too much time, I suppose, on social media, and that's something that I didn't used to do as much as I do now that I have, unfortunately, so much free time. And I can tell you that, I have seen more trolls, more just blatant misinformation thrown out, and just obnoxiousness, comments that are not meant to, expand, or enlighten, anyone's, anyone's knowledge, but rather just to, just to annoy, and aggravate and create chaos. One of the things that trolls are really good at are, putting you in a situation where you feel like you got to defend, your every comment. They will often ask you to, cite your sources, or, no matter what you write, they ignore any such citation or any such evidence that you do present. Instead, they'll throw up more things for you. In other words, they're always putting you on the defensive rather than ever addressing any of the things that you say. And not only that, I mean, a lot of trolls, and you see this. I mean, if anybody that spends any time at all on, I don't know, any of the popular social media platforms, whatever they are, one of the ways they attract an enormous amount of attention is that they will throw out comments that are just tended to attract attention. Sometimes they're just as simple as, blurting out something like, Trump 2020, or, some ridiculous comment like, Trump is a true Christian who loves America, and Democrats hate America. Just completely insane comments. And as a result, you'll see that, 19 or 59 or 79 people will reply with some kind of, range of commentary. And so the troll has succeeded in doing exactly what he or she designed to do, which was to, the way, whether it's, most social media works, is that the comments that get the most attention rise to the top. And so as you're scrolling through, I don't know, Facebook, for instance, and you see somebody has posted something, and you look down below at the comments, the very first thing, sometimes the only thing that's shown, there can be 1,000 comments, but the one that's showing is the one that's got all of the the replies, but you don't even see those. You just see the one comment. In other words, they know what they're doing. They're seeking and getting attention. And that's why I have come to quit arguing with anybody on social media. I just don't. I don't find it useful. If I see somebody trolling like that, my first instinct is to simply block them. Because that denies them the attention they're trying to get. If I block them, they will no longer show up. They can write all the comments they want, but I won't see them. And, and that's kind of how I look at it. If more people did that, rather than, to reply to them and, give them the attention that they seek, there'd probably be less trolling. But at any rate, having said all that, I regret that I'm not able to get out there. What with the coronavirus, which is still very real, and the fact that, in some cases, the police have not been exactly restrained, in going overboard with things like, pepper spray and other things. I simply can't put myself at that, at that level of risk, given, my lung condition. Were I, 30 years old again, and healthy, I would probably be proudly out in front, of some of these marches. What has been inspiring, though, is that these are not just taking place in some of the major cities where you would expect, to see them. But they have grown not just global, but they have reached into into small town America. And people are proudly posting, whether it's just a few individuals on a street corner in your, in your little village, or, somebody posted a picture of a single young lad carrying a sign, down the sidewalks in his neighborhood. At any rate, I am very pleased to see that this sustained energy and really large number of people taking taking part in this protest is finding finding success in areas where we simply have never seen before. We've got major cities like New York and Los Angeles that are talking about subtracting, substantial money from the police budget. There are, in many cases, bloated budgets, and applying some of those funds to areas that are desperately lacking. Things like mental health and things like, well, in other words, instead of trying to police every problem in your community, it's probably best to try to deal, with these issues in a more appropriate manner. And, a lot of the things that police do badly involve drug addiction, involve, mental health. And how many times have we read in the paper or seen on the news, cases of somebody with autism or somebody with other, mental or behavioral disorders being engaged by police in a deadly fashion, simply because the police were not trained or didn't take the time or have the patience to understand what was, in fact, they were dealing with. And I'm not going to label all policemen, under the same badge of dishonor. I have known some policemen personally who were very good people, and who I have no doubt, conducted themselves virtually, with great respect for the people they serve, and in always more or less honorably. But the fact is, not every police department, is tainted by what we're so angry about. But many police departments are, and it happens everywhere. It happens in small towns, it happens in big cities. We have seen excessive use of force. I guess what troubles me the most is that there are some police departments that, just have a predominance of this kind of behavior, where they have a history of it. I could name several local police departments near where I live that have, a higher incident level of these kind of behaviors. Not necessarily of killing black men, but certainly of excessive use of excessive force. And, whether it's a big city or a small town, one of the things that seems to get in the way of ever resolving these things, other than the fact that, like so many other systemic problems, they're resistant to change, the fraternal order police, the police unions themselves. Now, don't get me wrong. In most cases, I'm a strong proponent of unions. But the fraternal order of police, in many cases, have turned out to be not unions in that sense. They are basically time and time again advocating and protecting the worst among their ranks. And we keep seeing this over and over again in certain jurisdictions. Buffalo being one of them, many areas of Florida, Brevard County being the most recent to pop its ugly head up. We've seen a history of it in certain cities like New York and Chicago, in Los Angeles, of course. But in a lot of small towns and counties and boroughs as well. And so I do believe that is why Minneapolis, instead of saying that they're merely going to, look at the funding and maybe siphon off some of their, frankly, bloated police budget into other areas. Minneapolis is taking a look at, completely revamping their system. And I think it goes to, we need to eliminate the union itself and start over. That doesn't mean that they're not going to have another union. It simply means that the one they have is tainted. At any rate, I'm heartened that that we are seeing real solutions being suggested and real action being taken in some cases. And I think there's no doubt, like I said, that the Republicans are going to use this as an issue, from now until, through the November 3rd election, they're going to be using it. And they're going to, again, throw out they're going to try to twist this into something that it is not. They're going to try to manipulate this call for defunding police into something, they're going to interpret it as, the call for eliminating, police altogether. And all of the chaos that would ensue as a result of not having police protection. And we're already seeing it in some insidious ways. The Ohio legislature just this week has introduced a stand your ground law, similar to what they have now in several other states. Based on everything that I've been able to read and follow, every study done on stand your ground laws basically agrees that it is bad law. That at best it does absolutely nothing to reduce violent crime. Nothing. Two, it is often used in in a discriminatory fashion, where the law is not applied equally. Time and time again, white people are using this law basically to justify murder or attempted murder. And black people are often denied the right to use it at all. In similar or even more legitimate circumstances. The thing that bothers me about the law as it's used in the states that I'm familiar with is that it basically comes down to allowing you to use lethal force in any situation where you basically feel you are in mortal danger. And anybody can claim that they feel they're in mortal danger, whether the reality of the situation suggests that they should feel that way or not. It is, in essence, a license to kill when the circumstances don't necessarily suggest this should be a lethal situation. I am totally opposed to it, but that's the Ohio legislature for you. This is what happens when you have an overwhelming majority of Republicans in your state legislature. So I'm going to be fighting tooth and nail to make sure that more Ohioans are aware of exactly what this law is, what it does, and how it's been unequally put to use in other states. At any rate, I again apologize for not posting anything sooner, and I have, I've had a little bit of concern here. I don't know, over the last 4 or 5 days that I'm starting to have some congestion and some chest pain and other indications that was telling me that maybe I was having some type of a, exacerbation of my condition. And of course, I have been getting out a little bit more. I've been trying to be very careful. I'm certainly not doing it frequently, but I think I had said that for about 8 or 9 weeks, maybe 10 weeks, I had really virtually been a hermit here, not doing any shopping whatsoever. Just over the last 2 or 3 weeks now, I have gotten out, done my own shopping a little bit, and so although the trips have been infrequent, each time I do it, I have come in association or come close proximity to 10 or 12 people, and then add to that I have seen my friend Dustin a couple of times now, and we've spent a little bit of time together. We were actually going to take a drive up to the lake the other day, but I was having, like I say, a little bit of discomfort, and I thought, you know what? Nah, probably not a good idea. Let's go home and get some rest. And I had my doctor. I phoned in and had him phone me in a prescription for an antibiotic just in case. So I've been taking some doxycycline, Hyclate. I'm not taking a real heavy dose of it. I'm only taking 2 doses a day for a week. And of course, I'm taking all my other medications that I normally take. And I've held off on taking the heavy doses of prednisone. I won't say that I'm completely over it, but I'm feeling better, and I haven't gotten worse. And that had been that day that Dustin and I were going to go up to the lake and try try to find some kind of place that wasn't crowded and just kind of enjoy the nice weather. But like I say, we got about halfway there and turned around. That day was maybe the third or fourth day in a row where I was feeling like increasingly worse day by day. And since I've been taking the medication and I've been doing some exercises here at home, I have been feeling a little bit better. So, that was my main concern, is I didn't want to see, because this virus is a scary thing, and I didn't want to have any run-ins with any that might cause me that kind of alarm. So fortunately, I think so far it seems I'm out of the woods on that. But I think we're going to have to give it a few more another week or so, and I'll know more. Anyway, that's it for me. I would love to hear from you and see what you think of the the movement going on. Probably the most beneficial thing that has come from all of this is the fact that it has exposed, as I said, the Republican Party and Donald Trump for the racists that they largely, have been all along. And it's almost at the point now where they don't even bother trying to disguise it. And as a result, as I said, public opinion has turned pretty strongly against them. In poll after poll after poll, Trump has seen some of his lowest polling numbers ever. I mean, he's lost something like 6 points in his approval rating, virtually overnight from some of this, from some of his outlandish, really outrageous, comments, and that have come from all of this. And the fact that, whether it's that he was willing to call the military out on American citizens, or whether it's, that he had to hide in his bunker from, protesters outside the White House, or whether it's that, he can't even, he can't even see the irrationalness of of what happened in Buffalo with a 75-year-old man who looked like he was just merely trying to return a police helmet to the police, and he got shoved to the ground and actually seriously injured, and Trump couldn't even be on the right side of that egregious behavior. So, like I said, one of the oddly beneficial aspects of all of this has been that it has exposed Trump to those people who have spent 3 years basically defending the guy. They finally found, that they can no longer, defend him. So that's why I say I think we can at least be happy for that. But I think it was Chris Hayes, and I haven't seen the program yet, but I did see some mention of it, that, like a caged animal or a cornered animal is a dangerous animal. Once Donald Trump sees the writing on the wall and is convinced that he can't win re-election, in anywhere close to a free and fair election, well, you can't put anything past this guy. So who knows, in what direction he may strike out. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I will talk to you again real soon.